In this video, we're going to cover a more advanced approach to rooting cactus cuttings. This Rooting 201 builds directly on our Rooting 101 video and is for growers who already have some experience and want to establish their plants faster and more safely. We'll go more in depth and cover what an advanced grower needs to understand, the conditions that must be met before you even start, and a step-by-step guide to rooting more efficiently. The biggest difference between our 101 and 201 is the time between planting and first watering. In Rooting 101, we intentionally recommended longer wait times before watering. That's because beginners are much more likely to make common mistakes and not meet the right conditions for successful rooting. If you don't feel confident that you can master the basics, stick with a beginner method. It's slower but much safer. The main reason we made our 201 guide is for those who are more confident in the basics to establish their plants more quickly and get growth sooner. Faster rooting means that the plant can hydrate, grow, and respond to feeding sooner, getting the most out of that plant rather than having it sit with wasted growth potential. A more advanced grower needs to make sure to meet these conditions before even starting to root out their cactus. The right time of year. Your cactus needs to be in an active growth phase, not its dormancy phase. Temperatures can't be too cold, and there needs to be sufficient light to trigger new growth. If the plant is dormant, rooting will be slow or may fail entirely. Technically, you can root year-round indoors, but only if you're effectively replicating the growing season with warmth and light. Fully calloused. Your cutting must be fully calloused before planting. For most cacti, this takes around 2 weeks. It should be kept in a dry place with good airflow, should be firm rather than soft, and it should be clean. A nice thick callus is your best defense against rot at this stage. Well-draining potting mix. The potting mix should be at least 40% inorganic, sometimes more depending on the plant. The type of mix you use directly affects how quickly roots form and how safely you can water. As a tip, the soil may already contain a small amount of moisture, and this is normal. However, if the mix is overly wet or soggy, do not use it. The right-sized container. Choose a pot that balances supporting the plant with allowing space for roots to establish. If the pot is too large, then it will hold excess moisture and dry out too slowly, increasing the chances for rot. If the pot is too small, then the plant will be unstable and may dry out too fast. If these conditions are met, you can proceed. As conditions change, like weather fluctuating, you'll need to make appropriate adjustments. Pay attention to your local microclimate and don't always trust that the weather report will be accurate. Let's go over our step-by-step guide focusing on advanced directions on specific aspects of the process. Step 1. Callus your cutting as we've described earlier. Do not rush this. Step 2. Plant the cutting using the appropriate soil mix and container size discussed earlier. Step 3. Wait. In our advanced rooting guide, we suggest a 1 to 2 week wait time based on our own findings and the assumption that you've properly met the aforementioned conditions. We decided to test the assumption that you should wait for roots to develop before watering a cutting. We ran an experiment using identical cactus cuttings grown under the same conditions. We began watering groups at different starting points, after 1 week, after 2 weeks, and after 3 weeks. Over several months of careful watering, none of the cuttings rotted, and those watered starting at 1 and 2 weeks on average developed roots faster than the 3-week group, which lagged behind. This showed that with proper conditions, there's no benefit to waiting excessively long before watering. Early moisture helps roots seek out water and establish sooner, as long as watering is controlled and gradual. Step 4. Gradually increase the amount of water while decreasing the dryout interval. First, water lightly to introduce moisture. Then let it dry for an extended period of time. Each time you let it dry out, let it stay dry for an extended period of time before watering again. The next watering will be a little heavier, and the next dryout interval shorter. Over 3 to 4 watering cycles, usually spanning 6 to 8 weeks, you'll work up to fully saturating the soil. By this point, you should have active root development. It's worth noting that you'll need to adjust watering frequency depending on the weather conditions present during this process. A cooler, cloudier week may mean that the soil will dry out slower, so you'll need to extend your timing. Step 5. Don't disturb the cutting. Avoid pulling it to check for roots, as this will only interrupt the process and can damage new root growth. Look for other signs such as the plant getting fatter or bright new growth from the growth point. Within 8 to 10 weeks, the cutting should have the first few roots coming out. For a fully established cactus, it can take upwards of 6 months, so be patient. Here are a few other factors to consider. Different types of potting mixes will affect the speed at which your cutting will root out, as well as the thickness of the roots developed. For more advanced growers, you may want to try out different mediums side by side to see what you like. Rooting hormone can be beneficial if you're near the end of the growing season. We suggest a 1% IBA indole 3-butyric acid in powdered form to be used on the vascular bundle after the cut has been made, and a little bit goes a long way. You can fertilize freely through this process, or just give the plant water. We prefer to feed as much as possible. Faster rooting isn't about shortcuts, it's about timing, meeting proper conditions, and making adjustments that can save you weeks or even months. Making sure that your cutting is properly calloused, you're planting during the growing season, and you're gradually increasing watering frequency and amount after only a couple of weeks can help you enjoy healthy, robust cacti much sooner. Please let us know if you have any questions, and like this video and subscribe to San Pedro Source for more cactus highlights and educational content.